My mother-in-law once expressed her faith that Jesus had to return before 1988. Her reasoning was that the nation of Israel was reestablished in 1948, and that Jesus had promised that this generation will not pass away until all these things take place. But as you can see, Jesus didn't return. In this video, I'm going to show you the theological error behind that thinking and how to fix it. I'm Pastor Mike, and this channel is called Scripture That Makes a Difference, because I believe Scripture has made a difference in my life and that it can make a difference in yours as well. So each video in this channel aims to show how the passage we're considering makes a difference today. And if this is your first time here, you can learn more about this channel in the description below. And if you find you like hearing how specific passages make a difference in our lives today, just click the subscribe button and you'll get more. Some people have understood Mark 13:30 as a promise that the living Jews, when the nation returns to the promised land, would live to see Jesus' return. Others have confused this promise with the assumption that Jesus would return before all the believers living in his time were gone. Some even go so far as to assume Jesus made a mistake. Others think it refers to the time of the Gentiles. Let's look at the context and the meaning of the word, and then I'll give you my response. This verse is included in the lesson of the fig tree, itself part of the Mount Olivet discourse, where Jesus expands on his prediction that the temple would be destroyed. Back in the first part of the chapter, the other disciples had said to Jesus how wonderful the temple building was, and to this, in verse 2, Jesus had said to them, "Do you see these great buildings? There will not be left here one stone upon another that will not be thrown down." Apparently, the disciples believed that the end of time was associated with the destruction of the temple. Because in verse 4 they say, "Tell us, when will these things be? And what will be the sign when all these things are about to be accomplished?" Jesus takes off from there and explains that the time of the end will be horrifying. But he was also saying that there was hope. This tribulation would not last forever, that there would be evidence of his imminent return, and that the elect would be gathered. So there was reason for hope even when expecting trouble. So the generation he's speaking to has a reason to be hopeful. But who are the people of this generation? The Greek word for generation is genea, and the Theological Dictionary of the New Testament says it can refer to birth, descent, progeny, race, and generation. When we have a choice of definitions like that, we have to look at the context, and we have to remember that the context of this passage, the destruction of the temple, and that the first audience was the Jewish disciples. And Jesus may have been responding to the fear that the destruction of the temple would mean the rejection of the Jewish race. Jesus may have been comforting the Jewish believers of that time that God had not rejected the descendants of Abraham and the race that represents. They're still secured, not by descent or birthright, but by the work that he, Jesus himself, would do on the cross. Therefore, I choose to understand the intent of this to be the Jewish race will not end with the destruction of the temple. And this would remind the other believers that God has the power to preserve them as well. Even when the current events of the time seem to say that the Jewish race is under some form of tribulation or condemnation, the time we've come to call the Great Tribulation, God will still have a place for the descendants of Abraham in his great plan. And if he still has use for them, then he can still use the Gentiles in the church as well. So this paragraph gives hope to all believers. And if this scripture gives us hope in hard times, then it's a scripture that makes a difference. So are there other sources of hope that you see in the scriptures that you rely on in troubled times? Please put those down in the comments below. And leave other comments and questions as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts and have the chance to respond to your questions. You can even make suggestions for future content. And if you've gained any value by watching this video, please click that thumbs up button. And if you like hearing how specific passages can make a difference in our times today, click the subscribe button and click the bell so that you'll be the first to know when I've released a new episode. And you can help us get the difference-making scripture out to your friends and loved ones by clicking the share button on your favorite social media. And if you happen to live anywhere near Enid, Oklahoma, or are visiting sometime, please come by and visit us. Our address is on our Facebook page. I've left a link to that below. Our services happen at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning, and this Sunday you'll be able to hear more about the hope that His promised return brings. And until next time, hope doesn't come from having all the answers, only the important ones.